listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry, presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. Interesting day. It's actually getting hotter, even though it cooled off a little bit, because I brought this up last year. Successive days of hotter weather heats up the buildings and the pavements, and then that generates additional heat. So if I were to get someplace that was shady, it would be, even if the sun was hitting me, it would still be a little cooler. I wouldn't say, I don't know if shady would be the right term. It didn't have too much, what am I trying to say? Like, let me get rid of them. Heat conductors, like cars, buildings, that type of thing. So when you're around buildings and cars, the heat jumps up a little bit. Paved areas hold the heat also. But tomorrow it's going to cool a little bit. Make sure my volume looks good here. Looks good. Using my SM35. I have another one up here. I couldn't find it, and I'm like, I'm not going to play this game anymore. As soon as I ordered it, I found it. They got like so mad. But, I put it on, pay off over 6 months, and, I'll have it here. And if I lose one, I probably will find the other. So I have some stuff here to actually show you that's over in the graphics column here, and I just can't do that really while I'm driving. I was going to walk, but I just ran out of time. So it comes down to, it is so funny. I want to preface this, as I do a lot of times. There's some KGAV only people, and they say you shouldn't pay attention to the original Greek or Hebrew. Well, I understand about divine inspiration, but we're theoretically, we all can be divinely inspired. And God told me to speak in plain English, so that allows the other versions to have validity. But again, in anything, you have to look at God. How does this all apply? Well, you have to understand this when it comes to the other versions of the Bible and anything else. God has millions and millions of people that God has to communicate with in their lifetime, and Satan's trying to ruin that communication. And God speaks through his word. So if you adjust the word a little bit with versions, it could work. Now, you found that people have adjusted the versions and they are corrupt when they do that. They're using it a certain way. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but the original versions are used in the same way. I think the Inquisition used the KJV. Maybe the original Latin, I don't know. But getting back to original Greek, when it speaks, and then there's another one. I again have to preface this. I don't know what the version, NASB maybe, or something like that, or NASV. I forget what it is. Naval Air Station version. It has a Greek lexicon that's, I wouldn't say it's different than the original Greek. It's just what it does. It does a larger word study. It appears that's what it is. And again, scandalon comes up, and words such as that. So when the Bible tells us that sin must come, I'm not telling you to embrace it. I'm telling you just to realize it, get over it. Thank you, Larry. And that particular scripture explains how the person that traps the other person into falling is at fault. Now, many of you may not understand the metaphysics of that, but what I've seen is anybody that does it metaphysical will come out physically doing it. So when you see somebody do it twice, they're probably doing it a million times inside every time they walk down the street, and Satan pays them back with something, and they become president. So what it comes down to is we go back to like Ezekiel 34, as I've been explaining, that there are people that aren't healed. And that's how that works. Remember, we go to Ephesians and we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but yet it's a spiritual possession of the mind and it involves flesh and blood people. But what it's telling you is you can watch two people involve themselves in something and say, well, that person caused that person to fall. Not necessarily. Although there are people that that's what they do. That's all they're into, pretty much. You can tell they're in law enforcement and everything else. What is that click? It's the slide on my. I think it's the slide on my miter saw. I have to lock the slide. I went into Goodwill the other day and opened up the back so he could get the little box of things. He goes, "You got a strange setup in here." I said, "Oh, I'm doing some woodworking." He goes, "Microphone?" I said, "I do a podcast while I drive." Oh, cool. He sees a saw and a microphone. He's like, "What?" I have a headset on now, and you know, I'm not sure what's happening here. They hacked me somehow. Hopefully, I didn't phase out there. I'll have to check that. My screen timeout's not working, and I'm back that it's them. Probably want me to download one of their apps that actually hacks my so. That's how they do it. They mess up something in your life or on your device and get you to download their app. I'm always suspect of the highest rated apps. I'm sure they're like CIA apps, even if they have to send their own people out to do it, or even MI5 or KGB apps. So it is what it is. I almost bought headlights earlier, but at this point, well, actually, I saw it says. I swear on Amazon, it said the high beam headlight was for the low beam. I don't know if I misread something or I had like another one. You know, how it is. They have three boxes you can click on, and I may have a different box clicked on or something that I thought I had. But so I ordered it and had to unorder it. But then I figured, well, I'll just wait and I'll see what happens because I got the headlights back on by just kind of tapping it. Like I took the bulb out, nothing was working. I shook it a little bit, so I'm thinking maybe some moisture got in because the rubber gasket on the backside wasn't seated right, and I've been getting it washed a lot. So it may have just had some water in the plug. What I didn't know is that the the light bulbs themselves, the better your light bulb, the less use you get out of it. That's why I was glad I returned the one. It only had a year use. So I was saying that's pretty weird. Only a year use. My light bulb's been going for at least 3 years now, 4 years. Probably the original bulb, maybe even. Trying to find my parking spot here. What are you doing? So it works. I mean, maybe it's just had to dry out. I'm gonna turn my headlight every time I pull up at a place with glass. I'm turning them both on to see if they're on. That's good. But I noticed they were off, and then I eventually got around to it. That's a way to check your headlights when you pull in to a place that has a glass front. Then you just look to see if they're both on. I think it was moisture only because the gasket was off. So that woman, I just, she's cursed. I'm cursed too, but she's cursed. Like, I don't know if she got her battery because she told me earlier, like yesterday, she said, I'm going to go and get it done. I don't know if AutoZone replaces batteries. Maybe they do. I have to look at that because she said she's going to go to AutoZone. And I said, well, I'll install it for you. When she said she's going to go the next day. But then she says, when I'm going to AutoZone, but she never said, hey, I need you to install it. So maybe they install it, I guess. She'd have to go to work. But it's weird. She's cursed because I'm sitting there and I couldn't, I couldn't find her. I'm like, I was like, I was about 10 minutes late. It was weird. I mean, she's cursed. I woke up late. I've been every day, 7 o'clock, bam, 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 6:45 to 7 every day because of that sun. I think I spoke about it. So today, again, last night I woke up in the middle of the night and I had to do that. I didn't have to do it. I mean, I could have been a jerk and not told the world that somebody was going to do a big box store. So I did. I saw the vision. It was weird because I went to go to sleep and all of a sudden the vision hit, and I was like, I wasn't like even dozing off. It was just closed my eyes, and there was this flash, and I'm like, and I'm looking through eyes of somebody that's standing in an aisle. So this person, the first vision comes from most likely somebody that was probably standing one to a few aisles over. Then I see a woman that's either Mexican or Asian. You know how some of those can cross. So again, it's that appearance that some Asians and some Hispanic people, Mexican, look, has a certain look, and they can look backward. Native Americans have it also, a certain look. So she's bloodied, and she had longer than shoulder, wasn't shoulder length, wasn't real long, not like crazy long, but longer than shoulder length hair, and she's kind of coming towards what I would say is an entrance or an exit or whatever, like the doors at the front, and somebody's walking in, and those I felt like that was the view I was seeing. Now the weird part is, if you heal it, it'll never happen, even though I saw it, because that's the future as we stand today, or stood last night. We could have already healed it away. So I was like worried a little bit, but I fell back asleep. I said, because you see, I woke up and couldn't sleep because I offered to help her tomorrow or today. Then this morning, I woke up, it was like 10 after or something, like, oh my God. No coffee, stumble out of the room. A car's there. God, let me get inside real quick. And what I did is I opened the back of my van up so she would see it. She never showed up. And I'm thinking, I hope nothing went wrong. And they started going, oh, she was drinking with those other guys and they had sex. I'm like, get out of here. I don't know. It could have been the government for all I know. They're stalking us over there with cameras. But she's cursed like to a bunch of stuff. And, they curse me to that one. They try to make it some weird scenario in a mind. Try to see if they get somebody tripping. But again, gaslighters and crazy makers do the same thing. So that is what it is. But yeah, and then she later came out and knocked on my door, so she knew where I lived. I'm like, didn't she know where my van was? I mean, 'cause I'm worried, that she had to call an Uber or something. I'm like, like I was thinking maybe she messed up the time and thought it was earlier, and I'm actually later. It was later than just 10 minutes. I can't see. She didn't seem like the type that would just run off in 10 minutes. But she did seem like the type that would be late. But she said her people at work gave her grace, and they said, you don't have to come in, just take care of your vehicle. I don't know if she's a temp person or what, traveling, but I don't know. I was hoping, it just the whole interaction got skewed around, and it could be them. It could be if the government flunkies or some PIs are stalking us, that they willed the relationship to be weird. The interaction to be weird. I can't help her enough. But again, they're paranoid that I'll meet a woman and make everything they ever said a lie, and that's what it's been for decades. I mean, it was so whack. The woman, I can look back now and figure out the woman that I was breaking up with. They had her say, "Oh, I'm going to go hang out with somebody," and she used the name. It could have been the Justice Department. It was somebody in the Justice Department, most likely, just based upon the name they used. I'm just not going to say it right now. I will. It doesn't matter. They don't want me to say it. I'll say it. We used to have a computer system called Just, and his name was Just In. So again, they wanted me to know everything and freak out on them and stuff. And no, it wasn't a test because every people had killed themselves with this stuff. So she was all depressed because we were breaking up. I'm like, yeah, go, okay. So let's be friends. I'll call you, and then they wouldn't let her call me, of course. And she's saying weird stuff. It didn't, it was all weird. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But like, I'm not guilty, so why should I be paranoid or anything? But so when they couldn't push me away, then they ended it. But I think they forced her, and she drank a lot. So it could have been a DUI, DWI, and then they pull her over and say, "Do this, and we won't give you the charge." But it's so weird because she was a vegetarian and I wasn't, and not a big vegetarian. She was like, maybe like 90%, 85 to 90%, not like I am, and she may not have drank milk. I don't know. I'm a lacto vegetarian, so but within a year I was like a vegetarian. So like God knew what He was doing. Because her and I would have been a vegetarian together, even if we're just friends. And she probably would have dug the religion journey I took. Right. Although maybe with her, we would have stayed in a church somewhere. Right. But yeah, those churches have the biggest Jezebel Delilahs you're ever going to meet. Don't know what that mechanism is, but they're fruitful and they do multiply in their families. A lot of them have 5 to 10 kids. They're trying to get me to push on this one. Like Facebook's interesting because I know it's being manipulated. I can't tell you whether Jonathan Luna's girlfriend's doing it or any of the other people. But what I will tell you that uh, it does appear to be manipulated. They'll bring up my daughter every so often at certain points, and no, it's not investigative. So but they are manipulating me, and I think it's one of the family members of the church. Now, if it isn't Facebook, somebody's hacking them. Facebook just about killed me when I was in Santa Fe. That's probably part of the reason I left Santa Fe. Again, it's subconscious, subliminal. Look, y'all need to go away. You're not in the right. You've never been in the right. You're all crazy pieces of shit. So fucking psychotic that you should be buried under the prison because of the number of people you did bury, to include John Luna. Well, that's the point. That's the thing that I can't get to that you all have to get to. Is it her or is it somebody trying to make her look bad? You see, and extort her. No, I forgot about that decades ago. You all brought it back up, whoever you all are. That could be it. Could be people in the marshal service that I worked with. Could be anybody in Naples, Florida that did that to me. Could be any of them. So they know it's her. And I brought that up before. Or that she exists, should I say. Look at the line here now. They're going, you snooze, you lose. You snooze, you lose. They sent some of their people in, I think. So I might come back. Actually, I want to do that because they probably do that to this woman here. I think they operate her. They got people. They tell them to go over here, go over there. Or they're chatting with them. And they kind of break off from the chat when it's time for them to come over here. When I come over, he'll name it Jesus. That woman was cursed to be hit on by players. Rather warm in here. I was waiting for this pickup truck to go, actually, before I went out. Oh, I don't even know if you can see. I think it's just making the screen go to sleep. I don't think it's cutting out everything, but I'll have to check that. On my devices, when the screen goes to sleep, that happens. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.